wanna la la la. I wanna la. I wanna la la la. I wanna la.
Welcome back to yet another episode of JSE Sens'd. This is where we make sense, so you can make sense.
And we blow it in the atmosphere.
This video is not intended and must not be taken as financial advice. Financial advisors are trained professionals who are also authorized and licensed to provide such a service. JSE Sens'd is strictly for commentary purposes only and must not even be used as educational content. We do have classes for educational content. You can find our WhatsApp number in the description below. JSE Sens'd is strictly for commentary purposes only, and we encourage you to verify the information you find in these episodes, to also reach out to a licensed and authorized financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
And we blow it in the atmosphere.
The first company we are going to talk about is SPEAR, REIT. REIT stands for Real Estate Investment Trust. So SPEAR is a company that was formed to manage properties. It's a real estate investment trust, right? They released an announcement on SENS on 12th of June to announce that one of their director, Christian Barnard, has bought more shares into the company, right? He bought shares on two different days, on the 10th of June and on the 11th of June. And I think it's also worth noting that SPEAR has declared some dividends that are going to be paid out somewhere in June, and they're going to pay their next batch of dividends in November. They pay semi-annually, meaning they pay dividends twice a year. But Christian did not buy these shares so that he can benefit from the dividends, because he's actually not eligible. He doesn't qualify to receive the dividend, the June dividends. He's only going to get the November dividends because he bought them too late. The ex-trading date for the company was the 11th of June, and he bought the last batch of dividends on the 11th. So the first transaction, he bought the shares at 10 rand 64 cents. Then the second transaction, he bought the shares at 10 rand 30 cents. So when you add these two prices and you divide them by 2, you get an average. The average is 10 rand 47 cents. So he bought 10,000 shares in each transaction, meaning 20,000 shares in total, and he spent a total of 209,400 for 20,000 shares, right? So yeah, I've already said he's not going to be receiving any dividends this June. He's going to get the November payout. SPEAR is one of the companies that have an increase in dividend yield, right? Meaning the dividend they pay now is usually more than the dividend they paid previously, but they're still paying cents. So it's you need to invest a lot of money with them in order to get a meaningful dividend payout, right? So SPEAR's trading around 10 rands per share, and it has an all-time high around 11 rand 50 that it made since July 2018. So yeah, that's just about it about SPEAR. They were just announcing that one of their directors has bought some more stock, which signals the confidence that the directors, the management has in the company. I think I've spoke about this in the 2 previous videos as well.
And we blow it in the atmosphere.
So the second company we are going to talk about in this video is MTN Zakhele Futhi. It's a triple BEE transaction. You know, triple BEE transactions are made so that partners and more especially previously disadvantaged people can get some ownership and value in the companies they work for. So MTN Zakhele Futhi has a ticker symbol MTNZF, right? So it's trading on the BEE side of JSE, just like SENS'd. We spoke about it in the first video. If you didn't watch that, I would encourage you to go and watch that. So MTN is also a BEE structure company trading on the BEE side of JSE. So they have released their results of the accelerated book build offering of MTN Group Limited shares that were held by MTN Zakhele Futhi. This basically means that MTN Zakhele Futhi decided to offer its shares that it had into MTN. And yeah, it sounds like it's dying. It sounds like MTN Zakhele Futhi is dying because they gave up the shares that made them, it made them have a significant holding into MTN. So after selling these shares back into MTN, they are not going to have a significant holding anymore. So like I said, it's a triple BEE transaction. I'm just concerned about triple BEE transactions. They seem to not be delivering the right value. Even if you watch the first video that we made around SZK, SAB Senzele, they have a good intention about triple BEE, but it's not delivering the right value. And I think it's because of how these transactions are structured. So triple BEE is when a particular company wants to give value to previously disadvantaged people, and maybe black investors and stuff, right? So it depends. A company could give it could give those shares to qualifying partners, previously disadvantaged people, and black investors, just to try and include other previously disadvantaged groups into the economy, right? Deliver value and ownership. The problem that I have with them is that the way they are funded, so this company will issue shares, some of them, let's say in a case of MTN will defer the payments, meaning they will give MTNZF the shares almost for free. It's not for free, it's like a loan. They defer the payment. You're going to pay them later, right? They give you the shares now and you're going to pay them later. But guess what? These triple BEE transactions, they make money from the same company that gives them these shares. In a case of MTNZF and MTN will give MTNZF some shares, right? And say, you will pay us later. But the only way for MTNZF to make money, it makes money through the dividends it's going to receive on those shares from MTN. Once MTN pays it dividends, it now has to use that dividend money to pay back the loan. Remember, they gave them the shares almost for free. They deferred the payment so you can pay them later. They have to use these dividends to pay back the loan and use the same dividends to deliver value to those investors, the previously disadvantaged groups, the participators in that particular scheme. So it's usually not enough. And these companies always end up suffering with a lot of debt and little income to service the debt and deliver value. Another way for them to get this funding is through bank loans, which is the same. The bank is going to need interest on its loan. It's going to need the payment back. And the only way you can make money is through dividends on shares that you bought with debt. So it's very concerning for me that, okay, triple BEE has very good intentions, but the way it's structured to begin with is quite flawed. So MTN Zakhele Futhi has bought these shares for 90 rands each, and now it has decided to sell them for 128 rands each. You will think that's a profit, but when you consider that they have to service their debts, it erodes those profits. And at the end of the day, the people that were meant to benefit don't really get to benefit from this because of the complexity of these BEE schemes. So yeah, MTN Zakhele Futhi decided it's going to sell a lot of shares, about 35%, and the shares that they are going to be remaining with will not be enough to mean anything. Like they are going to be insignificant. So that's why I was like, MTN Zakhele Futhi is pretty much dying out. If you need more context on these transactions, just watch the first video where we talked about SZK, SAB, Senzele Kabili. And a lot of South African companies do actually have these schemes. I know also of Balo World, Kula Sizwe. It also made a scheme like this. I think it has a good intention, but the way it's structured and executed is a little bit flawed, and maybe they need to look around that and fix it. What do you think about such transactions?
Blow it in the atmosphere.
The third company we are going to talk about, pretty interesting, is Primary Health Properties, PHP. We spoke about PHP just in passing on the second episode when we were talking about Assura. So I would encourage you to go watch the second episode. But just to provide you a little context, Assura has received offers of a buyout, a takeover from two different companies. One of those companies was PHP. The other one was Sana Bitco, right? PHP's ticker symbol is PHP. One of those companies was Sana Bitco, the other company was PHP, right? So now, on the second episode, when we were talking about Assura, Assura has issued a statement to tell their own shareholders that, okay, we think the offer that we received from Sana Bitco is a good one. And we think the offer that we received from PHP is a little bit risky. So we're going to go with Sana Bitco, right? And I was surprised to see that PHP issued an announcement on Sense talking directly to Assura shareholders and discouraging them to act on whatever PHP has instructed them to act. So it was very interesting because it's the first time I came across something like this. I thought Assura's shareholders are supposed to listen to Assura, but yeah, I learned that a company can actually try to reach out to your shareholders and talk to them directly and discourage them from listening to what you are saying, because it's literally telling Assura shareholders that no, Assura didn't do the right assessment on our offer and they missed out a couple of things. So we are instructing you to not act on what Assura told you to do, which is accept the offer from Sana Bitco. So it was also just interesting how I spoke about Assura on the second episode. And now on the third episode, I realized that PHP came out and said, no. We don't think you should act on what your company is telling you. Listen to us instead. But there could be an advantage there because what if PHP is stopping these shareholders from acting because it wants to give them a better offer? What if it's saying, guys, no. Don't take that offer because we are actually offering you more as shareholders. So one thing I learned is that it is possible for PHP to do that. You would think that since Assura is the one being bought out and is the one that can decide which offer to take, you would think that it has the final say. But the shareholders are very important and they are the ones that have the final say. So PHP decided to talk directly to those shareholders and say, do not act on what Assura is saying. Assura didn't do a proper assessment on our offer. And yeah, maybe they're going to come up with a better offer on top of what Sana Bidco has actually offered. So this was just an interesting one to note since we spoke about it in episode 2. So I was like, okay, let's add it to the third episode just to say that deal is not a done deal. PHP has it made a counter announcement to say no. We actually think they didn't assess us correctly, so we still want to fight for Assura. We still want to make sure that we give it a fair fight and see if we can't buy out the company. So what would you do if you had Assura shares? Would you listen to what Assura is saying, or would you listen to PHP?
And we blow it in the atmosphere.
So the fourth company we are going to talk about today is Harmony Gold. This is one of Patrice Motsepe's companies, right? But it's a gold mining company. So Harmony Gold has a ticker symbol HAR. On the 12th of June, they released an announcement on SENS'd to say one of their directors has made some changes or made some moves around the shares of the company, and we're about to find out what he did. And it's none other than Patrice Motsepe himself. Excuse me. So he traded options on Harmony Gold shares using Africa Rainbow Minerals, one of these companies, mining companies. Africa Rainbow Minerals is like a holding company. It has several other mines under it, and it has shares in Harmony Gold, right? So it's also an indirect beneficial because he made these moves in the name of the company, not in his names, right? Almost like Spear REIT, the first company we spoke about, because the director bought the shares under the name of the company, so it's an indirect beneficial. Very interesting what Motsepe did here, because we call it a hedging collar. He made a buy and a sell, so he's trading the shares. You know how people trade forex. There's another way to trade called options trading, and it's very popular in America, even amongst ordinary people. But in South Africa, it's a big boy game. It requires a lot of money. I don't know what America did differently, because it doesn't seem to require as much money in America as it does in South Africa, or maybe Americans are just rich. I'm not sure about that gap in particular. But options trading is it's more popular in America than forex. A lot of people, you find that they're trading options instead of forex, and in South Africa it's vice versa. But a lot of millionaires and billionaires in Sandton, Cape Town, they're actually trading options, and it's pretty, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's better than forex. So this is how it works with options. You can say, okay, the shares of Harmony Gold will go to 500 by 2030, and then if that happens, if they go to 500 by 2030, you can buy those shares, or you can also predict a lower price. In order for you to understand this, let's go through what Motsepe did, right? Because I don't know how to explain these things in a short space of time. Like the video is going to be very long if I try to explain it in my own words. I struggle to get to the point very quickly. So Motsepe, through ARM, decided to do a hedging collar transaction, a buy and a sell on Harmony Gold shares. So he said, if the shares of Harmony Gold go down to or less than 234 rands and 85 cents by 2030, he wants to sell it at that amount. I don't know if I'm making any sense here, but listen, by 2030, if the shares of Harmony Gold are less than 234 rands and 85 cents, Motsepe is going to have a right to sell them for 234 rands 85 cents. So if the shares go to 100 rands per share by 2030, he's going to have a right to sell them for 234 rands 85 cents, which protects him against the losses, because the shares are currently over that price, right? So if it takes a dramatic pullback and it goes to 100 rands per share, he has a right to sell them at a little bit higher price, which is the price he chose right now, right? So that's the selling option that he did, right? And then he also made another trade to say that if the shares by 2030 go up to 562 rands and 40 cents per share, he's going to sell them at that price. So by 2030, if Harmony Gold shares go to 600 rands per share, Motsepe has a right or obligation to sell those shares at 562 rands, 562 rands 40 cents per share. We're talking about 18 million shares here. So it's a lot of money actually. So he made a hedging collar because he's protecting his downside. In case Harmony Gold goes down below 234, he retains a right to sell it for 234. In case Harmony Gold goes up above 562, he retains a right to sell it at 562. But only 18 million shares, not everything he owns inside of both these companies. So that's why they call it a hedging collar, because it's on both sides. If it goes down, he retains a right to sell it at 234, which protects his downside. If it goes up, he has a right to sell it for a price which is higher than what it is now. It's just that if one share by 2030 is 1,000 rands, he will still have to sell it for 562. So I guess it's a good thing that he didn't put all his shares in this option. He put only 18 million of them, and he still has a lot of them left. So ARM, Africa Rainbow Minerals, it has about 76.5 million shares in Harmony Gold, and he only put up 18 million shares. So I think it's fair for him, because if he has to sell them for 562, he still has about 58.5 million shares that will benefit from the rising share price. But if it goes down, then he can sell 18 million shares for 234, which protects him from the downside. And all these transactions are in the name of ARM, which has been struggling lately. So yeah, options trading is a big boy game. It requires a lot of money, because I don't know if they also put the prices here, or they did. So for the 18 million shares, the notional value of the transaction in 2030 is 4,227,221. It's actually 4 billion. It's not even 4 million. It's 4,227,291,000 by 2030, right? And then the second transaction that he did, remember the first transaction allows him to sell it for 234. The second transaction allows him to sell it, but for more than what the share price is worth now. So if the second transaction actually falls through, this guy is going to make 10,123,200,000 from these 18 million shares. That's why I'm like, options trading is a big boy game. So Harmony Gold shares are currently trading around 254 rands per share. So let's put that into perspective. 254 rands per share now. If by 2030 it goes down to 200 rands per share, he will be able to sell it for 234, which is not so far from the current trading price. If by 2030 the shares go to 600 rands, he will be able to sell it for 562, which is close to double of where it is now. So it makes you see the confidence, right? He actually thinks or hopes that the latter happens. He's actually hoping that it goes past 562, because that's where he actually gets to make a lot of money, about 10 billion but if it goes down, then he's only going to make about 4 billion, which is still a lot, man. It's 4 billion. It's a lot of money. How many gold has an all-time high of 361, and it achieved it in April this year because gold prices have been crazy this year. So yeah, if I try to talk more about this, the video is going to be 2 hours long. Remember, we have classes, but we don't teach options trading. What do you think? What do you think about this transaction, man? I want to take part in these big boy options trading. I think they're much more better than Forex because you choose a date and you choose a price, and there's a lot of metrics you can follow, but it's better than Forex, man. Forex, you have to trade now, win or lose now. That could be very dangerous. But yeah, you let me know what you think in the comment sections.
And we blow it in the atmosphere.
So the fifth and last company I'm going to talk about is Multichoice with a ticker symbol MCG. Hey, Multichoice has been under a lot of pressure lately, hey? So they released their annual results for the year ended 31 March 2025, and they're looking bad. Bad results, Multichoice, very bad. I wonder why Canal Plus wants to buy them out, or maybe it thinks it can run it better. Because if you don't know, there's actually a company, a foreign company, that wants to take over Multichoice. Maybe they think they can run it better. I'm concerned about the fact that they're foreign, and we still have people that are dependent on Multichoice for television entertainment. So for them to now be depending on a foreign company to provide them that, it's a bit concerning. And the offer was made in April last year, so I think that's why it's taking time, because even the regulators are trying to make sure that there's no loss of value there. Let's get into it. So Multichoice is also seeing a lot of losses in terms of subscribers and market dominance to apps like Netflix and smart TVs, right? So their EPS and headline EPS, both of them are in a loss of over 100% compared to the previous year. Imagine their earnings over 100% losses compared to last year. And last year they were also feeling the pressure. So it means the ship is just sinking and sinking. It says here the regulators are trying to save jobs and South African content. So that's why there are some delays in terms of the takeover by that foreign company. MCG was offered a buyout by a company called Canal Plus in April 2024, and the deal is delayed because they're trying to make sure that they're saving South African people's jobs and content. Because like I said, if now we're going to be dependent on a foreign company for television entertainment, you can imagine. Maybe they're also going to change the channels and we end up watching things that we don't even relate to. So yeah, there's a concern around that even from the regulators. So the offer by Canal Plus was to buy out Multichoice at 125 rands per share. And when they made this offer, it was trading around 75 rands per share, meaning there was a premium of 66%. A premium is the gap between the offer and what the company was currently trading around. So just like Balo World, I don't know where I was or what I was busy with during this time, but I think it was going to be worth looking into personally, because I personally traded a delisting company, which is Balo World. It's still in progress. But yeah, I mean, if a company is trading at 75 rands per share and they're offering to buy it out at 125 rands per share, those are the type of delisting companies you want to look for if you want to trade such companies, right? It's a good offer. The premium of 66% It's a good offer. So I'm guessing that some investors are trading the buyout because the price since moved from 75 rands per share to now currently trading around 115. So it's no longer so attractive because there's just a 10 rand difference from where it is now to the offer. I guess some investors got in on it, and I wasn't aware of this. I actually only realized that Multichoice wanted to be bought out when I was making this video. So MCG didn't declare any dividends, obviously, because it's losing, and they lied and said this is because of the Kano Plus offer. But where would you even get the money to pay out dividends if you're losing so bad, man? I mean, EPS and headline EPS at a loss of more than 100% compared to the previous period. Why would you still even pay dividends? I'm guessing if they were not being bought out, they were probably going to suspend dividends. And you know why Multichoice is losing? Anaconda. I'm playing. Anaconda is usually on ETV, and ETV is not a Multichoice channel. It's a studio on its own. It belongs to E-Media. But yeah, Multichoice also has this tendency of repeating movies and just boring stuff, man. There's a lot of content out there. That's why they're even losing to content creators on YouTube. People would rather watch podcasts on YouTube than watch Multichoice. And their prices are still crazy. It comes with a lot of equipment. Now I just want to watch TV. I have to buy a decoder. I have to buy that dish. I have to subscribe for crazy amounts just to see that boring content in Big Brother. So Multichoice was just losing, man. It was failing to innovate. I wonder why Canal Plus wants to buy it. That's very interesting. So do you think our regulators should allow this takeover? Do you think it's fair for a foreign company to come through and take a big company such as Multichoice? Yeah, it's losing a lot of market dominance, but still, there's some people that are still dependent on it for television entertainment. And also considering that MCG, Multichoice's competitors in South Africa are pretty weak. They are not the reason Multichoice was losing. OpenView and Starset, I think it's Starset. They are not the reason why Multichoice was losing. So I think if Canal Plus comes in and buys Multichoice, it may have a fresh chance at securing that market dominance. And that's why it's a little bit concerning, right? So if this takeover might result in South Africans relying on international providers, just exactly what I said. It might end up with South Africans now relying on this international company for TV entertainment, which is a little bit concerning. So I don't know, man. What do you think about Multichoice in this particular situation? I was actually holding my friend's cat before I started shooting this. So if by any means you see cat hair on my shirt, it's my friend's cat. So that's it for our third episode of JSE SENS'd. Remember to subscribe, share these videos if you like them, hit us up. The number is in the description and the email if you are interested in taking our classes. And yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next episode of JSE SENS'd, where we make sense, so you can make sense.
Shot. Pull looking like a CEO. Looking clean like a video. Your spot is mediocre. I'm feeling you. I'm feeling you. Here you see you're feeling cold. Niggas on the run when they hear my name.